Oh, good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Happy Easter to everyone. So, this is today my regular Sunday YouTube video on my YouTube channel, and where I will be speaking about free speech and if this should be something which should be limited or the other way around. So, thank you, everyone who will be joining, and also everyone who will be watching this video afterwards. Yeah, so let's get straight to the point. I don't want to waste the time. It's a beautiful weather, Easter Sunday, so we have sunshine here in Wimbledon. Beautiful. I have been to the mass already. So yeah, let's get to the point. So free speech, should it be limited? Which kind of limitations should be implemented, and does it benefit, the society and its development, or does it just, is it more dangerous? And yeah, as the label is telling us, free speech is about telling everything, and about being able to speak is to speak about everything and every topic, and at any point of time. And I personally believe that it shouldn't be limited, so it's just, because what are let's approach this topic from the result point of view. Like, what will happen when we have such kind of limitations? Like, when we just forbid people to speak about certain topics, and we just say, okay, this is an area where thinking is allowed, and apart from that, it's at least not political correct, and this is happening now, to express opinions. So what does happen in such a situation? I have some experience when speaking about this, because I have been living in my young age in a communist country like Poland. So I remember the day of the 13th December in 1981, where martial law has been implemented, and where, because people have been expressing their political opinions, suddenly, people got shut down to the shot in prison, or got in prison, and things happened like that. But these are extremes examples, so let's just I would rather like to discuss the general topic of what is happening when free speech is limited. So usually, I think, and also the experience from the times which I've been speaking about, speaks this language, is that people are still talking about it, but just this is a hidden topic, like a shadow community, which is just having their own opinion. People are afraid of expressing it, but it's still, like, cooking under the surface, and it's not going away. It's just becoming possibly much more virile, and when once it's suppressed, it will then come up, and with maybe with another very negative energy, like violence, for example. I think that people have been afraid of saying things about how they're doing, and if it's okay to, when if it's okay or not okay, that young people in France do not have the opportunity to work, and who is responsible for that, and this expressed in these demonstrations in Paris at the moment. Maybe not the best example, but yeah, let's go back to the limitations. Should there be any? And yeah, I'm just giving a little bit some examples what happens after. So in Poland, 1981, after they have put in the martial law, the people still have had the same opinion about the communist system, who has in place this martial law and has forbidden people to speak anything against the government. And this ended up 1989 in a, we have been lucky with a peaceful revolution, and then people didn't stop to think about this and about this, the power of they have what they have been wishing for and what they have been, wanting to express already 10 years ago, was so huge that the government couldn't stop it anymore. So I think this is like a little bit now also with the different types of topics. So for example, I'm pretty much sure about that there is like a mainstream political correctness going around, especially in mainstream media, but which is allowing only certain topics to be on the top, but certain topics are just not welcome. And you, as for example, when you are a journalist, you will be not able to work for a main news agency and express maybe like do you work very well, which is really thorough journalism, going to the deep of facts, but you have to tell or more or less what the main stream politicians are wishing you to write. And there is so this is quite dangerous in my opinion. You find a lot of good information and new information on in internet, in YouTube, and on other platforms, but it's still like that people who are expressing different opinions are getting demonetized or experiencing like suppression for some reasons. And I think this doesn't lead anywhere, just because it's the energy which is standing behind this kind of opinions is accumulating, and it at the end it just leads usually to violence, when you forbid people to express their opinions. So so I spoke a little bit about what is happening, from my opinion, when there are limitations on free speech, and I think I should also mention some important topics which are connected with benefits, which are connected to when free speech is available and people can just say what they like to say and express what they say, and without being afraid of being punished, and regulated. And so it's like let's take the example of someone who's just talking really rubbish, like having the opinion of whatever kind of bad stuff going on. Yeah. So when he's saying that, for example, stealing, like this, it's just a very stupid example, that stealing should be legalized or something like that. Obviously, when someone is expressing such opinion, there will be a counter opinion, and people will argue with that, and will possibly like a wrestling game, through argumentation and through bringing more reasons, that's to just bring this kind of idea to drop. And so there is there's thorough competition between thoughts, ideas, and this is only possible when free speech is available. So now we have different types of cultures, religions, and groups of people who are feeling offended when someone is telling something against. And there are many of them, and I just, because I I don't want to provoke instantly, so I will not take the most impressive examples. But let's take the religion of Buddhism, which is such a popular in the current society, and let's say someone is telling that Buddhism is like rubbish, because you can't overcome obstacles through only meditation, but you have to do something, or you just criticize Buddhism for being a suppressive religion, which is taking young boys from their homes and forcing them into the stage of being a monk, and with different types of so which is like absolutely not the typical imagination which people in the Western Europe have from Buddhism, but it is actually fact that this religion is not based on evidence and reason, but on an religious understanding of people who are meditating all the way long to being superior above other people, and being also privileged in the society, so which causes a lot of individual pain and suffering, and causes a lot of problems within the society. Yeah, so and we so let's and so parts there are many other examples from other religious groups which I don't want to mention because I'm clever, yeah, and I don't want to do, who feel offended when we just express that they are possibly like quite back, kept still captured in the past in the yeah, in the area of being very totalitarian and telling people what they have to think and they have to wear, what they have to, which kind of clothing they do have to do and things like that. And when we criticize them, then we are getting like somehow yeah, problems from not only from them but also from the people who are governing, dealing with us. So you know I think that feelings are, when we speak, when we really speak about facts and people are giving some opinions on specific, ideologies or religions, then there is no taboo. There must be a free stage of argument, counter argumentation, and if someone is really not afraid of being exposed, of being apart, being like in a suppressive community or suppressive original or whatever kind of stuff, he will be able to explain it in a thorough manner, and to be able with come up with argumentation, and without threatening people, without taking them to jail, or without being telling people what they have to think, or threatening them with whatever kind of violence. And so in my opinion, the only really legitimate limitation of free speech should be there where someone's really offending someone directly. When I would, for example, have an opponent in my who would have another YouTube channel, I would say, listen, you, let's say XY John, blah blah blah, you are an asshole, and all this kind of stuff, which can be personally offensive. And this is also regulated in the civil, in the criminal codex, and this kind of abuse should be like the limitation when it's directed to someone, to an individual. It's not about facts which are relevant for many people, are just with the purpose of offending someone. This is the only thing which I can think should be, yeah, maybe should might be, and we can discuss even that, regulated and put onto a limitation. But apart from that, with when we are criticizing religions, societies, numbers, this should be everything free, and everyone should be able to express every kind of opinion, even if it's crap, even if it's dangerous, because we then just know that such an opinion exists, and then we can have take our counter reasons and explain why we are thinking that this is possibly not a good idea, or with something which we shouldn't follow. So yeah, um, one of an example of this kind of topics is also when we're speaking about numbers. So there are so many examples of existing limitations of what can be said and what can be said. And for my own sake, I don't want to give the most provocative examples, but obviously it is should be allowed to speak about numbers and history, what happened in history in reality, without giving like only the one single point of view. And we need to accept this kind of stuff. Like, let's for example say someone is questioning the number of French people who died in the Second World War. Yeah, this shouldn't be like an topic of offense. It should be like freely discussed and evaluated. So there are scientific, there have been people possibly collecting statistics, the military and other people, and then we can go into the results and discussing the numbers, and then maybe see who has the better evidence, and come to the conclusion that there has been so many or that many, or that their number can't be really estimated. And I just chose this hypothetical example, but it's not that hypothetical, because there are other there are other communities which just put law on the fact when we are questioning this kind of numbers. So let's think about, is this like a validate reason for 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 free speech limitation? Also, differences of cultures, they should be discussed, just because people might have an own opinion on that, and the opinion which some people might express might be really uh, dangerous, or or backed up with some good facts and reasons, and why we should have the opportunity to uncover those who are really those opinions who are really rubbish, and those who are validated. So there are discussions going on race and IQ, and of cultures being more or less developed. And I think this of everything of like that should be freely discussed, and everyone who is trying to to put on limitations on this discussion is just doing the society and the civilization not a good favor. Yeah, so in my opinion, there are really usually two sources of limitations. Even these are the communities themselves who are trying to enforce some of kind of punishment or limitation on this free speech, or back in the days this has been the king, or now it's the government, or possibly the media, which is connected to this mainstream political forces. So yeah, so I think, let me express a little bit my opinion on that. I think nothing good is coming out of this kind of censorship, even regardless if it's coming like directly as a form of law that you're not limited or you need to give your information. This has been actually the case back in the days I have been living in Poland. Everything what has been written and published in newspapers needed to be checked, and then it could be published. And at the moment, it does work not the same, but try to be a good journalist for, let's say, the BBC when you are like opposing, let's say, immigration or something, illegal immigration or legal, whatever kind, extensive immigration. You will have some problems with getting your job done. So so there are different types of ways how you can limit this kind of stuff. Therefore, as I'm a libertarian, I'm thinking neither the king can save you nor the government. It's always, self-responsibility, self-sufficiency is king. It's really good to, to collect your information from reliable sources, which you can access. And the best way to do is to rely on reasons and evidence, and to question even own, belief systems. So this is what I wanted to say. I'm absolutely an advocate for free speech. I've been living in a country, or I've experienced what it does mean when it's openly, limited, and it's just legally forbidden to do so. Now we are living in an time where it's just not that open, but it is happening on a daily basis. And I will discuss more on that, because I'm already 18 minutes. This is much too long. Thank you, everyone who has been watching, and speak to you soon. Happy Easter. Goodbye.